Welcome to Nosgoth. To all you video gamers, welcome to Zemix's Galaxy. Hell yeah.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Galaxy! How are you guys doing? Shout out to everybody who's in the chat right now. Matthew, Crunkman2000, Minkya, I think it's Minkya, correct me if I'm wrong. It's so good to see everybody, thank you guys so much, and this is the official debut of our intro. Michael Bell, the legend, the man himself, with great honor, did this for us, and I just can't even express just how powerful that was, how amazing it is, and I actually just finished recording a thank you video for him where I just fangirled all over the place and embarrassed myself, but it was totally worth it, and I'm thankful, and I'm so glad you guys get to experience this with me, so thank you guys so much. Oh my goodness, so Crunk, before this broadcast began, redeemed some love points, which is a thing we can do on Twitch now, and he wants me to do my Optimus Prime impression, where... oh god, okay, here we go. Before time began, there was a paradox. Something, abhor a paradox. Something, Ve Victus. This is the work of Megatron. Transform and roll out. Oh god. I think it was. I even ad-libbed a little bit. Anyway. Goodness gracious. I love you guys. Y'all are amazing. Okay, so, before I start playing the game, I'm gonna gush a little bit more, because I have to tell you guys about this game, and what it means to me. So, I brought out all my copies of this franchise, even the OG Blood Omen for this. So, my first ever, gaming experience was I played Atari a little bit when I was a little kid, but my first real foray into gaming was, before YouTube and all that stuff, there was, PlayStation Underground and, PlayStation Magazine and stuff, and in the back came a little demo disc, and on there was the demo for Soul Reaver, and I was like, what is this? And I finally got my copy, and I was so excited, and as soon as you boot it up, you guys are about to experience it for yourself, the music kicks on, the narration comes in, and it just opened the doors for me. Oh my gosh, it was like games with a story? What is this? With a narrative? I was just like, oh my god, and all the voices involved. Tony J, Simon Templeman, Michael Bell especially, everyone, there was just so much love and passion put into this. And Amy Hennig, her writing is just amazing. And, this game came out in 1999. I was 6 at the time, and this was really, the narrative is so intense for a game. It's almost hard to believe. It was so ahead of its time, right? And so for a 6-year-old kid, this game started to show the dark side of the world to me, right? It touches on some really heavy topics, some very intense themes, and I think one of my favorite things about this franchise, at least Soul Reaver especially, is Raziel isn't necessarily the hero, right? He's kind of the victim of the story. And in the beginning, he's like, I want revenge, but he hits a point where he starts to uncover the underlying reasons why. And I'm not going to spoil too much, but there's this transition where he looked at the big picture and he just decided, you know what? I'm going to do what's right for me. I'm going to do what I need to grow as a person and make the best of the hand that has been dealt to me. And something about that has just been a lifelong inspiration to me. I've always enjoyed it so much, and I now in 2020, right? Now all these years later, I can come back with this community that this franchise helped to inspire and come back and bring this to you guys. And the man himself could record this for this. It's just like, I had to do all my crying off camera because I was a blubbering mess that all this was coming together. And I'm trying not to get emotional right now, but this this game is just so important to me. Everyone's so involved and I'm just thankful that we have the chance to experience this together. Anyway, I'm not gonna get emotional here. Before I start crying, I'm gonna play. Let's do this together, fams. Let's just do this.
Cain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with Cain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Cain would enter the state of change and emerge with a new gift. Some years after the Master, our evolution would follow, until I had the honor of surpassing my lord.
I skipped it! No! Oh god, I got too into it and I hit the button! No!
I know you,
No! I can't do this. I've got to restart it. I gotta go back. No, we're restarting it. No! We're restarting this. I did it. I did it. No! You. No, friends. I can't believe it. Damn the R2 and L2 being so sensitive. Ah! What's with these severed appendages? Don't worry, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe it. I can't believe I did that. You know what? I'm gonna do it again, but this time I'm gonna go even harder. I'm like really gonna get into it. Yes, we get to do it again. Yeah, I'm actually okay with experiencing this twice. And we get to credit Silicon Knights and Crystal Dynamics. And I'm putting my controller down this time. Okay.
Cain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with Cain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Cain would enter the state of change and emerge with a new gift. Some years after the Master, our evolution would follow, until I had the honor of surpassing my Lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward. Agony. There was only one possible outcome. My eternal damnation. I, Raziel, was to suffer the fate of traitors and weaklings, to burn forever in the bowels of the lake of the dead.
Cast him in.
Tumbling, burning with white-hot fire, I plunged into the depths of the abyss. Unspeakable pain, relentless agony. Time ceased to exist. Only this torture and a deepening hatred of the hypocrisy that damned me to this hell. An eternity passed, and my torment receded, bringing me back from the precipice of madness. The descent had destroyed me, and yet I lived.
Raziel, you are worthy.
F in the chat for Tony J, everybody.
I know you, Raziel. You are worthy.
What madness is this? What pitiful form is this that I have come to inhabit? Death would be a release next to this travesty.
You did not survive the abyss, Raziel. I have only spared you from total dissolution.
F for Tony J, everybody.
I would choose oblivion over this existence.
The choice is not yours.
I am destroyed.
You are reborn. The
What up,
birth
Platinum
of
Worm?
one of Cain's abominations traps the essence of life. It is this soul that animates the corpse you lived in. And that, Raziel, is the demise of Nosgoth. There is no balance. The souls of the dead remain trapped. I cannot spin them in the wheel of fate. They cannot complete their destinies. Redeem yourself. Or if you prefer, avenge yourself. Settle your dispute with Cain. Destroy him and your brethren. Free their souls and let the wheel of fate churn again. Use your hatred to reave their souls. I can make it possible. Become my soul Reaver, my angel of death.
Alright, I'm done lip-syncing and monologuing. If you can't tell, this game has been so influential on me, it has been so important to me all my life, and I can't even begin to express what this moment right now means to me. This is a milestone. I've memorized so much more, sincerely. But I'm gonna spare everyone from that, and I'm just gonna enjoy it for what it is. You know what? We're gonna go back to 1999 right now, like this is the first time, and we're gonna enjoy it again. The Elder God is the voice who you just heard, voiced by Tony J. May he rest in peace. And he's going to explain to us a little bit more about the setting. I'm so embarrassed I hit the button. Oh god, I just grazed R2 as I was like making a hand motion.
These gates twist space, laying a path across great spans.
How's the volume doing? Is the game loud enough for you guys? Alright. So these are our gateways. One thing that I actually love about this is, awesome. Thank you, Minkya. Hopefully I'm saying it right. This is one of the few games that kind of lets you peek ahead. You can kind of see how many gates there is to unlock. And there's a reason why they do this. Because there's a lot of these gateways that you don't actually gain access to through just following along the provided zones of the story. This is in place to show you, wait, there's other places you can go. It encourages exploration. And I always thought that was cool. So there's so many secrets in this world, there's so many neat things to find, and even after all these years, there's still so much about this game I don't even know. I feel like it was just a year ago or two that someone just like, hey, there's this whole section of the game that we just discovered, and it just came out, right? I don't know. People are still learning new things, and I think that's dope.
You are weak. You must feed.
The old hunger has left me. I have no desire for blood.
You are changed. Your bloodthirst is replaced by a deeper need. You have become a devourer of souls. To sustain your strength, you must hunt the lost spirits of the underworld and consume the souls of your enemies.
What a deep concept. Imagine being 6 years old and be like, you want me to what? Hold circle to feed on the souls of wherever this thing is pulling them from. This is just a bottomless font of souls. And, like, the creativity of childhood me is like, wait, so are you just murdering people for my convenience here? What is happening? Like, I asked so many questions when I was a kid. Vampires.
Your wings, though
true.
ruined, are not without purpose. Take hold of them as you leap, and they will carry you across this chasm.
Your Discord going off. Okay. You open up the Galaxy General. Oh wow, Matthew, you joined the server. Dope. Around where I'm your stream. Oh god. Don't make me say anything too embarrassing, okay? One thing that I really want to compliment this game for, after this.
What scabrous wretches are these?
Stua, the scavengers of the underworld. Their feral hunger has claimed countless souls, spirits who now shall never find their rest.
One thing I do want to compliment this game for is You can't promise anything. You're gonna get me in trouble, aren't you? So one point of feedback I hear in this game is like how drab and dreary it is, which Nosgoth is supposed to be like a really dark, nearly colorless world. It's like a gothic landscape, right? So one way that they keep this really interesting is these very cinematic camera angles and stuff. And they just use like very clever tricks with the camera. Like earlier when I had to like hold L1 and like crouch jump, the whole like camera turns sideways. And I feel like with Crash Bandicoot and like some of the early PlayStation games, like there weren't very many games yet that was really capitalizing on that, and so I just thought that was cool. There's just a lot of clever usage of camera angles in this, and particularly like there's a lot of poetry just with cameras. Maybe I'm over observing things, but I don't know. I'm just so passionate about this game. You can you tell? Now here.
These portals are your conduit between the spectral and material realms. With their aid, you may gather matter and will yourself to become manifest in the physical world. This is taxing, however. Your strength must first be fully restored. You require no conduit to return to this plane. You may abandon your physical body at any time.
Which was a really huge concept for me to grasp when I was little, but you know, it helped me teach, like, this game taught me planar travel at 6, which is pretty intense, but this moment right here is about to teach you the iconic mechanic of this game that separates it from, like, even games of today, is this feature right here.
Sustain your strength to prolong your manifestation in the physical world. If you fail to feed or absorb too many wounds, this fragile matter will dissolve.
That's right. We have the ability to shift between the material plane and the spectral plane. And as you notice, this has an effect on the world around me. In the spirit world, reality is twisted and contorted, and in the physical plane, everything reverts back to its natural state. Later, we're going to use this mechanic to solve puzzles, and that's part of what makes this game so unique.
You are young yet, Raziel. You still retain many of your vampiric weaknesses. Immersion in water, while not fatal, will dissolve your physical body, forcing your return to the spirit world. Be aware that in the spectral realm, water has neither heft nor lift. It stands as thin as air.
All these concepts about, like, physics and how the world behaves differently on the other side. This game just throws so many really huge themes at you, and I love it. I have no idea what you're gonna have me say.
What are these creatures?
Do you not recognize them? They are the children of your brother, Duma.
That's impossible. These foul, scuttling beasts could not be kin of our high blood?
Do you suppose that time stood still for you, Raziel? Much has changed since you passed from the world of men.
Which is to say that a tremendous amount of time passed in what to us felt like just a very short interval where he fell
I
down.
knew my opponent's weaknesses, having suffered them myself. Physical wounds are fleeting. Vampire's immortal flesh begins to close as soon as it is cleaved. Vampires need only fear those wounds that impale or inflame. Water scorches like acid, and fledglings are devastated by sunlight's touch. I would have to modify my tactics to suit my foes.
And this right here is a beautiful means of teaching you this game. So, The enemies in this game, for the most part, are all vampires, which means if I leave him as is, he's going to recover and heal. I have to use a weakness that is specific to vampires to defeat these enemies, otherwise I can't progress. So, one of those means...
Unfettered from the flesh, a creature's soul fades swiftly into the spectral realm. Draw it in quickly, Raziel, or you will be compelled to follow.
Sunlight. But, oh. We didn't say Dumas Kim is, the brightest, but I have options here. I could have thrown him on the spikes, I could have thrown him into the water. There was several different ways I could resolve this encounter, and I think that's really cool.
Your physical prowess surpasses what you knew in life. Even massive obstacles can be moved effortlessly.
Now we have block puzzles. And I feel like this right here, moving the block, is kind of like... This is part of the old, like, PS1 era of games experience. I should be able to just push it. Yeah. If you tap the punch button, you can push it. I just remembered where that was. I didn't even look up there. I can grab those torches and use it as a weapon, but I'm not going to, and I'll show you why.
My God! The sanctuary of the clans reduced to ruin. Beyond these walls lay the pillars of Nosgoth, the seat of Kain's empire. How humble it now appeared, collapsing into the dust of its former magnificence. And yet, I had only just emerged. In the instant between my execution and resurrection, centuries had apparently passed.
This world is wrecked with cataclysms. The earth strains to shrug off the pestilence of Kain's parasitic empire. The fate of this world was preordained in an instant by a solitary man. Unwilling to martyr himself to restore Nosgoth's balance, Kain condemned the world to the decay you see. In that moment, the unraveling began. Now it is nearly played out. Nosgoth teeters on the brink of collapse. Its fragile balance cannot hold.
Yes! The voice of Kain is brought to you by Simon Templeman. So, I'm in a bit of a situation. I can't resolve this this combat here with my claws, so we're gonna have to get something to stab him with! And I remember this weapon specifically right here, because if you lifted up the CD in the case for this game, you can find art of this right here. There's this beautiful, like, really high-res image of Raziel with this weapon just skewering a vampire underneath the CD as soon as you picked it up. And I was just like, hell yeah. Like, what a way to just tell your players what they're about to get into. Alright, now I'm gonna flex just a little bit. I played this game before. I know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to show you something else we can do. I can just sneak up on him, or... I always thought that was the coolest shit ever. And he has like a degree of telekinesis. He can pick up items from the ground. God, yes. That is so satisfying. And I remember what a big deal it was, too, because, like, in the PlayStation 1 era, it's like, people were still talking about graphics and violence in video games, and so it was such a huge deal. It's like, wow, that is so bloody, that's so violent. What a rated M game this is. You can just impale people. I remember what a big deal it was. And here is our first gate. This is the gate for a very special location. And I won't spoil what it is. I'm still embarrassed that I hit that button earlier. Sorry, guys. I was on such a roll, I had so much energy, we were all in it together, and I was like, and skip. I was like, damn. Honestly, you don't need any other weapon. You can just carry this with you through the whole game and murder everything.
This, at least, had remained constant. The endlessly swirling vortex of the abyss, my tomb, and the womb of my rebirth. Though much of Nosgoth's landscape had changed, these cliffs gave me my bearings. My clan territory was to the west. I was anxious to see how my descendants had fared during the centuries of my absence.
Still online? I feel like I might be disconnected. Okay, no, it's just, okay, we're good, I think. Maybe. Alright. What are all the elk noises? That's actually a very good question. I think it's just to help convey how vast the scene is. It's to give the scene body, is my educated guess. So I have choices. I can try and cross the gap. I think I'm supposed to wait until later when I have another ability that I'm not going to spoil for you guys. I like how the music just transitions. God, you guys, this is my favorite track in the whole game. So we're actually in Raziel's clan territory now, and his theme is a remix of the main theme of the game. Now to get my favorite weapon. I had a action figure of Raziel. I don't know what happened to it, tragically. But it came with this staff, this very one right here. Now I'm going to show you guys a cool mechanic. So notice the soul is still outside of the body. I haven't consumed it yet. The soul can now return. This will play into things later for sure. Yet for some reason. Like maybe I got too far away from him. It's very generous with the hitbox in this game. Apparently I can throw it at his shins and still stab him through his chest somehow. It's a very old game. I'm not gonna give it a hard time.
Utter desolation. My once proud kin wiped from this world like excrement from a boot. I knew the hand that wrought this deed.
You wander into certain areas and it added on instruments. Can you hear the lead in the background now? There was just so much thought put into this game. Like, you can hear more of the synth from Ozar too. Just little minor details. option of throwing these guys into the fire too. I can burn them alive. But first, we must get the next gate. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I can play this for you guys, and we can all just enjoy this for what it is together. I am going to get that symbol tattooed, by the way. This symbol here is Raziel's symbol itself, and I'm going to get it on my right arm. And the significance of that is, in a later Legacy of Kain title, Raziel makes there's a quote where he says, "I am your right hand, I am your sword." And simultaneously, if we recall the opening video that we had this I'm sorry, on his right arm is where he's wearing the banner for his clan. And so I just thought, like, you know, your sword arm is where your symbol goes. And so that's the arm I'm going to get my Razielian clan tattoo. Oh wow, I must have got a crit. I can put this down. There's a reason I'm going to do this. Because I'm going to choose to kill this guy a different way. I think so too, Minkia. I haven't decided if I'm going to get the pair of them together or if I'm just going to get one. I myself will also die if I go down there too, so... a neat mechanic of the torches too. I didn't explain earlier why I didn't pick them up. In part because the staff and the spear are just better weapons. But also, I'll show you. The torch is faster, but it has a weakness. Once you use it, the flame goes out. And if you can find a fire source, you can actually relight your torch, which I think is cool. But, I don't know. I feel like a good old stave through the chest is a little more dependable. Yeah! It broke it over his face.
I didn't recognize these flayed racks of flesh. Their scent was vampiric. They gnawed upon their victim's carcass like dogs.
Don't mind me, just solving the problem. I think I missed out on the other one, so that's okay. Oh shit, I wasn't even thinking. Well, I no longer missed out on that soul. Good stuff. I was making an investment, is what it was. I believe this is Melchiah's clan territory, and I remember because I love all the like wrought iron detailing in his area. So this is a human. You can tell the difference because human enemies just fall over. You don't have to kill them in unique ways. But humans have ranged weapons usually.
This charnel house bore the unmistakable marks of Melchiah's clan. To what depths had our dynasty plummeted if these ghouls were the descendants of my high-born brother? Were they so debased as to recruit fledglings from the desiccated corpses here interred?
Raziel just feeling disrespected by the existence of these creatures. It's like, were we so debased that we were gonna recruit these things? And I can pick up this weapon too. It's got this like neat tombstone design with a skull on top of it, but I'm gonna stick with this stuff. This one here is my favorite weapon. Apart from another weapon I'm gonna get later. A nice quality of life thing, I don't have to drop the staff to move the block. I think that's pretty cool.
My brother Melchiah was made last, and therefore received the poorest portion of Cain's gift. Although immortal, his soul could not sustain the flesh, which retained much of its previous human frailty. This weakness, it seemed, was passed on to his offspring. Their fragile skins barely contained the underlying decay.
Isn't this just poetic? Doesn't he have just a fantastic way of explaining things? The dialogue in this game is just so... You can tell that Raziel is more than a millennium old. Ow?